Good morning, dreamers. On today's agenda is gardening. I purchased 6 straw bales and I'm going to start doing a raised garden in straw bales. I didn't even know this was a thing until recently. Just wanted to give you a recap of the things that you would need in order to get started in this. Number one, you buy straw bales, not hay bales. Hay bales have seed in them and you just grow more hay. So you want to make sure you get straw bales. The other thing is a high nitrogen fertilizer. You need weed block. And then you're going to need a fertilizer that is equal, like 10-10-10 fertilizer, or 12-12-12. It doesn't matter the amount, just as long as those numbers are even. You need that at the end of the conditioning for the straw bales. To help feed the plants just before you plant in them. You'll also need a thermometer, and don't do like I did. I purchased a thermometer that starts recording temperature at 120 degrees, and I didn't even look at it. I just was in the store, I was in a hurry, and I bought it and got it home and realized it doesn't start showing the temperature until it reaches 120 degrees. And when you're doing straw bale gardening, what happens is that fertilizer breaks down the bale and actually causes it to heat up. And the heating up is what causes the breakdown of the straw. And you want that in order to be able to plant in it. And then after your conditioning, the temperature of the bales start to drop. And once they start to drop and become about the same as what it is outside in your garden, then you can start planting in them. So you need a thermometer that goes down to 60, 70, 80 degrees, whatever your outdoor temperature is. So you're going to need a thermometer, you're going to need the fertilizer, the straw bales, a weed block, and water. And that's about it. Oh, and the fertilizer, that's the 10-10-10 or the 12-12-12. Anyhow, so let's go get started. Okay, so got my straw bales going behind me. I don't know if you could see that, but I've got it all set up. We're using old tarps as a weed block because I'm cheap like that. And the bales are the straw bales, and they are about 3.5 feet long and like 16 inches wide, 15 inches wide, something like that. I can't remember. But so I got them set up like this because we're going to put a 10-foot by 10-foot dog run around them to temporarily keep the deer out. And this is my first time doing a garden in probably 18 years, and my first time ever gardening up in the Pacific Northwest. So we'll have to see how well I do. Dream is to grow enough produce for just my sister and I during this season. So let's get started. I'll show you how I condition these hay bales. I'm just doing what I learned on watching other people's YouTube. So I'll put a link in the description down below. But PG Nano Farms, she does a whole video on how she's doing her gardens, and I'm just kind of following her method. And then there's Bruce City Gardeners, and there was another one, I haven't watched his videos yet, but that she had recommended me to. So I'll try and put links down in the description of what it is that I'm doing, and you guys can all keep me honest and make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, so again, I'm just doing this from what I've seen other people do on YouTube. And so what I've got, let's see if I can show you guys. I've got Vigoro brand. I guess you could see that. It's so bright out here. It is almost noon, and you can see this area is getting plenty of sunshine, so that won't be lacking in this area. What I got is Vigoro lawn fertilizer. It is 2904. I don't know if you could see that. And it is a water soluble, mainly full of nitrogen. which is what's going to help break these bales down. So this is, I think you guys can see that, the breakdown of it. It is, total nitrogen is 29%. It's 21.2% urea nitrogen, 7.2% other water soluble nitrogen, and 0.6% water insoluble nitrogen, which you mainly want a water soluble high nitrogen fertilizer. And what I'm going to do, let's see if you guys can see what I'm doing here. The sun is so bright it's hard for me to see the camera. So hopefully you guys can see me. I think. But basically, there's different opinions on how much to put on each bale. What I'm going to do, this is day 1 of a 10-day conditioning. And I'm going to put, if I can get my cup in this little bitty bag. Interrupted by a phone call, love it. So basically, you put about a cup, a little bit less than a cup, and you're going to sprinkle it evenly over the top of the hay bales. Mr. Mo here has to come try and help me out here. So day 1 is you're sprinkling the nitrogen all over the hay bales. One guy does it right down the center. Other people do it all over. I think I'm going to do it all over because I'm going to be planting all over in these bales. That's step 1. I hope you guys could see that, but you're basically just spreading it all over. Okay, so I got that all sprinkled in on top, and like I said, some people just put the fertilizer right down the center. And then some people do it all over like this, so I'm going to go with the all over method because I don't plan on planting right down the middle. I want the whole thing to break down. Let's see if you can even see that with, I guess you can see that. It's really sunny out here, so it's really, I got to remember to do this first thing in the morning when it's a little shadier and better view. But the other thing I forgot to mention is that when you set up your bales, you want the twine to be on the sides, and you want the cut end up. And the cut end is going to be really straight like this. I think you can see that. But it's just going to look really flush and cut. The underside of it is looks all sporadic. So you want the cut end up. If you do it that way, just makes it easier to get the fertilizer down into the bale. There's nothing in the way to keep it from soaking down in there and decomposing your bales to make them able to plant in. Okay guys, so that's basically the gist of it. You put the sorry, I have a lab here who just goes crazy over water. She just can't help herself. So another reason why we'll have fencing around this garden is just keep her out long enough to water it. Okay, so that's basically it. I've got a cup of fertilizer on each of the bales. Watered it in really good. And then we just come back for day number 2. It'll look like this after you water it. You don't have to water all those crystals down into it. They will make their way down in eventually and start decomposing your bales. Now you're going to go lay in the dirt and get all muddy and think you're going in the house. Build it. Okay. Enough. Oh, thank you. Well, that was a workout. At my age and in my condition, dragging hoses across the yard and everything else, it's like 12:26 now and I'm exhausted. But I'm also very excited to see what I can get to grow and see how much free food I can get this year. So, or almost free. The bales were very cheap. considering my budget for this year. The bales usually are about $7 a piece, $7.50 a piece, something like that. But because it was the last 6 bales that they had, I got 4 of them at half off. The fertilizer cost me about $10, $11, something like that. I have not bought the 12, 12, 12 fertilizer yet, so wait and see how much that's going to cost. But the amount that I'll be using for this year is so minimal, I'll have stuff left over for several seasons to come, so I'm not worried about that. And the plants, I've already got some started. I have some sugar snap peas that I started from seed, and I have some pole beans that I started from seed. So I'll be planting those in the garden. I will also, in a couple weeks here, we have a fundraiser plant sale that's happening on the 18th. And so plan on going there and purchasing a bunch of plants there to help our local historic school building pay their taxes for the year. So that's where I'm going to get a lot of my starts at for this year. And I'm just going to get a few, enough to feed my sister and I. And then also tomorrow morning, I didn't get to it today, but tomorrow morning I'm going to start planting potatoes. So I'll also give you guys updates on my potatoes. The potatoes are going to go into some tires people had dropped off on our property years ago here. And so I'm going to be doing seed potatoes in tires, and I'll let you know how all that happens. So if you want to follow along on how the garden turns out and how the potatoes turn out, hit like and subscribe below and hit the notification button so that you'll get updated when new videos come out. We'll see how it goes.